Hello, my friends. It's May 31st, 2018, and it's time for today's big story. We might have a legit E3 leak on our hands. Whenever E3 comes around, a whole bunch of people try and make fake leaks. Some do some really good jobs, some do some not so good jobs, but it all adds into the speculation, the discussion. And that's what we have today. Another image came up. Popped up over on 4chan, went over to Reset Era, then went all over the internet. So everybody's talking about this rumored sheet of games that has popped up. Usually I wouldn't trust this kind of thing, but there's certain things on here that make me believe it's real. There's also commentary from some other outlets that they're saying it looks real to them too because they've heard certain things. So we're going to take a look at it. The sheet, as you're seeing right now, says that Dragon Ball FighterZ, Fortnite, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, FIFA 19, Killer Queen Black, or Killer Black Queen, Starlink, Paladins, Overcooked 2, and Mario Tennis Aces are going to be at E3, or shown at E3, or in some form at E3. Now, obviously, some of these make perfect sense. FIFA 19 was announced today for Switch, so that makes sense. Mario Tennis Aces, obviously, we know it's coming out very soon, and I'm sure they're going to talk about it at E3, and it will be there to demo, so that makes sense. Starlink, we found out about a while ago. I think we found out at last year's E3, to tell you the truth. So that's not a surprise either. Then we have Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Obviously, that makes sense, too. Then we have stuff like Overcooked 2. No one's heard anything about Overcooked 2. No one knows it exists, but the Switch version's doing really well, so it would not be a surprise to see a sequel there. Paladins is another game that's been rumored for Switch for a very long time now. People have data mined the PC version, have found mentions of the Switch, found images of Switch controllers and stuff like that, so that makes sense too. Fortnite is another one that's been rumored for a very long time. We've seen websites from companies that work on porting and stuff like that, or companies that are involved with Fortnite that have had some mention, or at least some wording that led people to believe that it was coming to Switch, and then they changed that. But yes, it's been rumored for a long time. I mean, it's a huge franchise. Obviously, Epic's going to want to get that everywhere they can. And with the Switch doing so well, it only makes sense to bring it over there, too. So again, it's been rumored for a long time. It certainly makes sense. Dragon Ball FighterZ, or Fighters, I don't know how I'm supposed to say it. That wouldn't be surprising at all, because we've seen Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 come over to the Switch, so a port of FighterZ also makes sense. That's one I personally have been hearing from inside sources on long before this sheet came out. I've heard from multiple sources that I trust that say that game is definitely coming to the Switch, and now it pops up on this sheet, so it makes sense to me. Definitely not one that's too hard to believe. And then you have Killer Black Queen, what am I supposed to call it? All I know is it's an arcade game that is 10-player and it has special cabinets, so maybe there's a port or some sort of sequel or enhanced release for the Switch coming out. What I will say is the official Facebook page for that game, I don't know how recently, but I guess the game's name is Killer Queen, because their Facebook page recently removed a whole bunch of images that they had on their profiles and made everything black. All the images are just black now. So that happened before the sheet came out. So that, I mean, that might be, obviously this is the game we know the least about, but that one might be the one that shows the most evidence that this rumor is actually true. So it's all up for discussion, but like I said, some other outlets, our friends at Destructoid, are saying that they have been privy to some embargoed information leading into E3, and they're saying that some of that embargoed information lines up with what's on this sheet. They're not saying specifically what, but clearly there are titles on this sheet that they say make sense with the rumor, which is why they ran with it. And obviously we're not talking about things like Mario Tennis Aces or Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate or FIFA 19 or stuff like that, because we know about those. So they're talking about the other games that we didn't know about, or the other games that have ports that aren't confirmed. So again, they're not the only outlet that's getting behind this. Usually when we see leaks like this, you don't see it reported a lot by bigger sites because they expect it to be false, and they have their inside sources that they can reach out to and get shot down right away. But a lot of people are reporting on this one, so it seems like there are people that have inside information and embargoes, like I was saying, and those inside details about what's going to be at E3. And they're like, oh, well, we got stuff to back this up, so we're going to run this rumor because we personally know it's true, but we can't come out and say, yes, these games are confirmed. We'll just put it out there for our readers and say, hey, look, we've heard things. Can't tell you what specific things, but it lines up with the sheet. So, a lot of evidence here going with this one to lead towards it being true. Ash Let's Play News over on Twitter says, there's one thing that's going against this list, and it's fairly big. Why isn't Smash Brothers listed? Being one of their big games, you'd think it would be on there. Now, my understanding is, and I've seen a few of these things in the past, I used to go to E3 every year. I stopped going when Nintendo stopped doing their big press conferences that you would actually attend and watch live, because there's just so much to cover. It doesn't make sense for me to be at the show. I need to be at home and cover it, because they do their pre-recorded presentations and then their live streams all day long, which I need to watch and pay attention to. But I used to go to E3 all the time, and I've seen things like this sheet before. These are the sheets that are printed out for shipping containers and stuff like that show like what booth pieces and parts are going to be there. There's like 6 many pieces to this thing, or 4 promos for this thing, and you know, that gets taken apart and put together in the booth. The reason why stuff like Smash Brothers wouldn't be on there is because Nintendo likes to keep their stuff more secret, and I don't want to attract attention. Now, we know Smash Brothers is going to come to the Switch, but that's all we know. We don't know like an official logo, we don't know any artwork or anything, so they're not showing that there. Mario Tennis Aces is a different story. That's not far off from releasing at all, so that's why it's on the sheet. Obviously, this sheet is not the full list of what Nintendo is showing at E3. It's not the full list of what they're discussing. It's not the full list of all the games that are going to be there. Nintendo has said they're focusing on what's coming out this year, so 2018 stuff, and they'll talk about games in 2019 at a later date. That doesn't mean they won't quickly mention a few of them. They usually do. They're just saying their focus is on 2018 stuff. So, between that and stuff like Yoshi and Fire Emblem, stuff that we know are coming to, or as far as we still know, are coming to Switch this year. Yeah, there's no final details on this sheet because that stuff is usually kept to Nintendo, or kept very, very, very quietly. And they try and hide that stuff from the public until the show actually launches. The floor opens and people can go in. So, certainly not surprising. I'm sure there's other sheets just like this showing what other games are going to be at Nintendo's booth. Nintendo has, again, a huge booth at the show. Yes, Smash Brothers is the focus, but there's going to be other things that they're going to talk about in their presentation and during the live stream that they do for the 3 days afterwards. So, yeah, this is not the full list by any stretch of the imagination. And like I said, I have seen things like this before, and they were legit. Alright, my friends, that's today's big story for May 31st, 2018. Thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting. It's very much appreciated. I'll be back tomorrow for whatever tomorrow's big story is, and I sure hope you'll join me to check it out. So until then, have a lovely day, and a lovely evening, and I'll see you in a few short hours. Hey guys, RMC here from Go Nintendo. If you like what you saw in the video, why don't you give us a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe? We'd love to have you. If you want to see what else we're up to, you can check out GoNintendo.com for 24-hour Nintendo news. You can visit us on Facebook at Facebook.com/GoNintendo. You can check us out on Twitter at Twitter.com/GoNintendoTweet. And we're even over on Instagram at Instagram.com/GoNintendo. I put all the links in the description just to make it easier for you guys to follow. Thanks a lot.